Hello, welcome back to a new video, and in this one we're building something for the lady you see on the screen right now named Jocelyn Anape. Mato has appeared on the channel before, but Jocelyn is a new guest star. Welcome, Jocelyn! So we're gonna get into the build right now, and I'll explain more about these two characters and what my thought process was for this build. I'm so excited how it came out. I know I always say that, I'm just a very excitable person. If I made myself on The Sims, I would give myself the excitable trait 100%. Anyway, that aside, we have now started with the build for a residential. It is actually a residential lot, but I used it as a small business. So they don't actually live on this lot. They just come here and operate it as a business. So you can easily change that in your own game if you don't like playing with small businesses, or you can't, or whatever else. So it's a very functional lot in that sense. We've met Jocelyn now. We know a little bit about her already, that she's married to Mato. And in the previous video I made about the small business lots, I mentioned that Mato has a wife, and here she is. This is her moment to shine. If you haven't watched that video, that's also okay. It doesn't take away from the build, I don't think, and I'm going to use this video as a way to storytell a little bit more because I really like that. It really helps me build when I have an idea about what my characters are going to do, or who they are, maybe some drama, things like that. I think that really helps story build and just build in general in The Sims. So I will talk a little bit about that as we go. So this lot, as I mentioned, it is a residential lot, but it operates as a small business. What does that mean? It just means that she bought this as a second lot, so they have a residential lot already registered to them, but you can buy an extra lot, especially if it's a small business lot, I think it is called. So that means you can just buy any residential lot and turn it into a small business. I couldn't find this out straight away. It took me a little time to find where this was, but I figured it out, so we're here. Now, who is Jocelyn and why did she want to buy this lot and make it what it is that we are starting to see now? Jocelyn is married to Mato, who's a very influential guy in Chestnut Ridge. He owns a vineyard and a saloon for the locals. I have a feeling that he's very much tied with all the important people in Chestnut Ridge, the mayor or whoever else. So he has a lot of say of what is happening in the community because he's been so loyal to it, and his family have lived here for generations and generations. Mato also has a brother called Paco, and he has actually moved to Brintleton Bay. He moved away for love, and even though that didn't work out, he hasn't returned home, and this has caused a really huge drift between the two brothers. Mato, for a time, did actually think about maybe moving to Brintleton Bay to join his brother, because after his brother Paco broke up with the love of his life, he was really, really sad. But he had already put down some roots in Brintleton Bay, so it just didn't feel like he could go home anymore. It felt like he needed to stay. Mato doesn't understand this up to this day, and he has got his own life here now, but at the time when he and Jocelyn weren't married yet, he did consider moving for his brother, which is really, really sweet because he knew how much he was struggling with the breakup. So it was just a really tough situation. And actually, Jocelyn, up to now, she has been great friends. Well, obviously, she's great friends with her husband, but she's also great friends with the brother who left. They see each other all the time. I imagine she's the one writing him letters and updating him about what is going on in the town, what's going on with his brother, etc. So she's really the link between the two of them. And I think now where we are in the story, I feel like they have gotten to a point where they're able to at least, see each other without fighting. So I imagine that especially when Jocelyn celebrates any big accomplishments to do with her business here, or just in general, if there's a reason for them to get together and Jocelyn invites Paco as well, then I feel like they can be very civil because it's for Jocelyn and they both really care about her. She's a very special lady, so I feel like for that they put, their drama aside and they can be friends. So Jocelyn's sort of working on that, and I think for now that is the happiest ending we're gonna get for the brothers. She's on it and we can trust in Jocelyn. So, but more about her because, of course, she exists outside of the two brothers drama. She is an amazing woman. She started this lot as a really happy place for families to get together and spend quality time together, and for kids to feel safe and explore, in a really fun interactive environment. So that's the sort of space that she was trying to achieve. Jocelyn is so freaking cool. When I was creating her in CAS, I got this randomized sim and she had this awesome face makeup on that, looked so glittery and sparkly. You saw the images at the beginning of this video, or the sort of shots from the game. And that's what she looks like every day. She gets up in the morning. I imagine she wakes up really, really early, and she puts on this glorious, glorious makeup. And she does that to cheer up the kids. Like, she wants to be this amazing, almost mystical human, who is so happy and just greets all these kids with a huge smile. She's looking out for her community as well. That's a big theme between all three of the Sims that we've created here. So for her, community is also so important, but also looking after the little ones and making sure they have space to be themselves and, just, yeah, do whatever kids do, run around, make friends, and just have lots of fun. So that's really her goal with this place. And I feel like the backstory is, a little bit sad in a sense. It's quite heartbreaking because when I built their house, I didn't see them as having children. And now that I built this slot, I could definitely see Jocelyn having kids, of course. When I started building this, I was like, yeah, it's going to be a space for kids. And I can totally see Jocelyn doing that for the community. So I feel like maybe there's something more there, on why they haven't had children. Either it was a choice or they couldn't. But there's probably some tragedy there. I'm not going to go into it too much because, that's up to you as the players if you want to play with this or use the storylines or use the Sims to fill in the gaps and see where you want to go with it, and yeah, make it your own. But that's sort of the I guess the road that I was going down in. So that for me explained why they didn't really have a family of their own. Although that is absolutely tragic and heartbreaking, Jocelyn really decided to do something positive that has helped her move on from this, and also has really helped the community have this really special space. So I feel like in the end, she's made the best out of the situation because that's who she is. She is such a amazing woman who's so strong and really, really cares about her community as well, as we can see. So yeah, that's a little bit about Jocelyn. She's also probably always lived here, I would imagine. She's probably moved here either when she was really, really young or she was born here. And again, she cannot imagine moving away. She does go and visit Paco a lot. But she cannot imagine leaving this place. This place is so special for her, so definitely not. So yeah, you could see that in the inside we put a lot of toys, a lovely seating area, and toilets, of course, as well for functionality. And on the inside, we are putting this lovely sort of playground area where kids can, climb the monkey bars and swing on the swing set and things like that. And I also place some stalls where you can hire vendors and they can sell you some coffee or produce or whatever else you might want. So there are only these two, but you can easily swap these out for anything else that's in the game, or just take them away, put a barbecue, things like that. Anything is possible, really, really. I just wanted there to be a nice sort of indoor-outdoor space because this was really designed as a barn. I thought that would be really, really cool. And the idea behind this place was I wanted it to be a sort of outdoor garden, so pumpkin patch, harvesting, but also maybe a hay maze. And that's kind of where the inspiration struck. So I came up with the barn first. I wanted to make it a bit more modern, so it just stands out. It's a bit different. And then I moved on to the outside, which I think took the longest time. And I'm not a huge fan of landscaping usually, so now you can see I'm just placing a few random things around. But I also thought that this place doesn't really warrant a lot of greenery, and it only warrants a special kind of greenery, I would imagine, because of the hot weather. So that's what I went for, and I hope that it came out quite nice. I feel like it brought it all together at least. And then I found these really, really cool banners. These come from clubs. They come from Get Together, but I used them above the door because I thought it'd be really cool if Jocelyn sponsored some clubs or the Scouts, for example. Like this could be a place where they gather and have their club meetings and things like that. Or as kids, maybe in a Scout club or their own little like play club, they could come here and that could be their hangout spot. I thought that would be really cool. And then I also noticed the freezer bunny little thing that I put at the top of the building, and then that made me think of a mascot. And I realized as well, guys, that I love putting down mascots in my builds. So we had the gnomes, of course, for the brothers. And now we have the freezer bunny for this area here. So I don't know. I really liked it. I thought that was quite fun. But yeah, that's the mascot. I added some other little freezer bunny related items as well. And then came the fun part of adding pumpkins and other autumn or fall related objects, I guess, around this place. I don't have the pack where you can do like pumpkin carving. I never bought that because I just didn't really see the point. It just seemed like you get that one item and that's pretty much it. I have to say I did really miss it in this build. I thought I would add something extra with all of these pumpkins. But at the same time, these kinds of places, I think you would just collect your pumpkins. You wouldn't necessarily carve them as well. So I thought that was okay. And this area here, the outdoors, especially at the back, I feel like this is really the original build. So I feel like it was just a community pumpkin patch, an apple orchard, and also maybe a hay maze. Like maybe that's been around for quite a while. So this area looks a bit more old. That's why there's also an outhouse and things like that. And a lot of it, there's a lot of wood and like a sort of old wooden fence at the back as well that we'll see soon, and the old notice board to cut off the lot in half. So I think that half of the lot Jocelyn tried to keep as it was, and then the front part of the lot, which is now finished pretty much, that is the newer lot that she bought and expanded on and renovated, etc. I mean, maybe the barn was there, but she's, sort of renovated it from the inside and put her own touch on it. So I really like that. I really like the fact that she could take something that existed and make it her own as well. In this community. So yeah, I must say, I called her Jocelyn because I really love Jocelyn from Schitt's Creek. It's a really, really good show. I think it's on Netflix at the moment, for us at least, in the Netherlands. But it's an amazing, amazing show. It's so funny. It's the exact type of humor that I like. Quite a few people that I recommended it to don't really like it as much. So I'm always a bit disappointed, So I hope someone out there at least likes the show as much as I do, or has watched it before. That would be great. So I don't feel so alone, because it is such an amazing show, I feel like. And yet the character Jocelyn on there is so genuine, and she is also very much a community person. She loves kids for the most part. I mean, having a baby, she struggled a bit, as most people do. It's well, not her first baby, but it's a baby, But yeah, so I feel like she was also kind of my inspiration when I was thinking of this character. Now we're going to get into the hay bale maze. This took me quite a long time, I must admit. And first of all, it was just more about the actual act of sort of putting all of these debug hay bales. Oh, they're not debug, sorry, they're actually seats. So I hope your Sims don't start sitting on them. They didn't on my game, but so it took me a while to actually like duplicate them, put down loads and loads of objects of the hay bales, then size them up, and then put them into where I wanted them to go. That took quite a while. But then I also thought, wait a minute, Gabby, it's a maze. I'm like, where is it going? Where are the paths? Because I was just mindlessly putting them down at some point, and I didn't even think about where they would go, which wasn't very smart, I realized. So that was a whole journey in itself. And I also wanted them to look a bit different. So, I spun them around Some of them I spun them around just a tad, just so it looks like they've really just been placed there. Kind of thrown on, you know, especially the top ones. And this really reminded me again of another show, but I also really remembered the hay bale sort of maze in Gilmore Girls. And that just brought back some really, really nice memories. So I loved thinking about that whilst I was building this. I don't know, this build just gave me so many nice feels about different shows I watched, different lovely characters, the communities that the writers built through these shows. And hopefully that, you know, I can replicate like a small piece of that with my little silly Sims builds, but that at least the characters feel a little bit more alive and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. And I loved adding the little fountains in the hay bale maze. I don't know how realistic this would be, but it would be so cool if like the kids, like as a kid, I would have loved that if I could be running around a hay bale maze, and even if I knew the water was there, like in the hot summer sun, it would be so nice just to go and, you know, play a little bit in the fountain with your friends, or dare each other, you know, to jump in or whatever. Like that would be so much fun. And honestly, I would still do it now, hands down. So if there's any mazes with fountains, let me know. I'm there. So yeah, that was kind of what I was going for with that, because I thought we need something in the dead end sort of points in the maze. And for your Sims, there's no reason to go in a maze. Like Sims will not understand that a maze is there to have fun and to walk around and things like that. So, you know, I feel like I had to put something there at least. The landscaping as well was actually quite a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed the landscaping. And as I said, I usually don't. I usually really focus on the interiors. That's my favorite part. But the landscaping here, I thought, hey, this is a lot of fun, because it just felt so alive, and it felt like every corner of this build I had something in mind for. So it wasn't just empty space. And that's what really terrifies me usually, is the empty space, because then I think I don't know what to do with all this space. And I must admit, I actually did go into first person on The Sims, which I think I've only done about 3 times in total. And I tried to walk around the hay bale maze. I almost did get lost, even though I created this maze, I did get lost at some point. But I must say, the amount of motion sickness that I felt from it, and just the way that the controls work, it's so janky. You just feel so disconnected from your sim. It's very, very strange. So actually, I didn't put the videos of that on here because I just felt like it would really terrify you if you're watching. I think this is a good place to leave it right now. We've learned a little bit about Jocelyn and, you know, what is her connection? Who is she? Why did she start this business? And we know that the brothers are on their path, no matter how small, into maybe becoming friends again, you know? Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to now put some end sort of little shots from the game of people enjoying this space, of the Sims enjoying this space. It is on the gallery if you want to download it. And yeah, take care, guys. And I hope to see you again very, very soon in one of my next videos. Bye bye.